a bit of a surprise in the program, also for the people online. So the closing will be done by two people very relevant to this community. One is here, is Laure LE BARS. She was our former president, now still a very active member of the board of BDVA, and president of also of the QUIC, so Quantum Industry Consortium, and creating bridges for us. And I also give the floor, although they will talk separately, to our president, Thomas Hahn, that already had an intervention yesterday. I don't know whether you can put him on the screen. That, as you know, Thomas is here. Just go, we put Thomas on the screen. We don't need to make the introductions with the perfect Thomas, welcome. And you all know Thomas, and we miss Thomas here in Naples. So they will do the closing together. There are a few slides for Laure here, and then Thomas will share his screen, and then we'll close, we will go for lunch. The floor is yours, Laure.
So I'll start. So yeah, it's I have this challenge of being squeezed between those panels and the lunch, etc. So don't worry, it's not a keynote by itself. I don't have any speech, anything. I've been asked to remind some of the history. Of course, I mean, some faces are here for a long time. It's kind of funny, I mean, not seeing each other for 2 years. I mean, last event was in Slovenia. We were doing an event, but we were basically facing cameras. So I really prefer today and having this exchange. And just by the example early this morning or yesterday, we have seen that, I mean, we can talk forever, and that will be, we need this time, we need those gatherings. So I think it's important. I'm also pleased to see, I mean, Anna reminded it yesterday, this Data Week is a follow-up of several events or changed names, etc., but basically the same idea. Yeah, I've been myself pretty active in those first events, being the project manager of the CSA, which initiated it. And I think it's really, it has to be a recurring event, and that's really good that we have such event. This is also, yeah, it has to go beyond the projects, etc., really bringing all the community together. So that's very important. I forgot I wanted to say something else, I forgot, but that's okay. We cannot say everything. Maybe that's, yeah, we started back, I mean, there was European Data Forum, Nuria mentioned it. I was not personally here, but SAP was already involved also in the setup of BDV, etc. This evolved a lot, but still, I mean, iSpace, for example, I was highly involved in the definition of what is iSpace, taking as an example something we founded at SAP together with Karlsruhe Institute for Technology back in 2013, if I remember correctly. So that's, of course, it evolves, the technology evolves, etc. But that's, we more or less have the same question. But that's, so this concept, we were right actually 10 years ago. It's still live. It's still, it makes sense. So what was research or really first ideas, it's becoming more and more concrete. Live, there's still research. I think it's really important to continue. And I like this hybrid type of, and having several sessions and online sessions before, and still having a time where we meet together. And I think this is really the future. Yeah, I have a life outside BDVA, as Anna mentioned. Two things actually, before going to quantum. There's something started locally in France, something called Cercle Interrel, which is 17 today industry in France, but it's also IBM France, Intel France, Électricité de France, and Engie, Orano, SAP France, etc. Sitting together talking about equality, professional equality. And there is a group inside it which is called Women and AI. And we developed recently a chart and a pledge on women and AI covering all. So it's done by industry for industry. So it's really concrete. It's not like government or legal stuff, digital act or whatsoever. It's really, okay, how to concretely making progress inside a company. And that touches governance, HR, a team issue, as well as, of course, the technique, data, algorithms, and are part of it. So there is a link with what we do here, obviously. That I hope we continue. We have more and more of those companies part of it, and that I invite you to be part of it. Another thing, and this is was mentioned, so quantum computing. It's not like because I was bored with BDVA that I did something else. I actually started more than 6 years ago. It's something that also I followed for quite a long time. I'm a software engineer, mathematician as a background, but in the 90s and 2000s, when we had those theory of if we have a quantum beam, we could do something different. So it's not, I look at it from a software algorithmic point of view, and that brings additional stuff. So whatever we say, it's still valuable, but that's a different approach. So on top of HPC or all kind of technology. So I think it's interesting to take part of it. And just to also to go backwards again, I did my thesis in AI on NP complete problem back in '87. So still, I feel like I'm back to square one, but that's really, I mean, the technology help us, etc., but we still have to define what is the appropriate problem and continue to improve it. So back to quantum, this we started this quantum industry consortium. So 2 years ago, we started to discuss on it. I mean, I knew the community before. We started in May 2020. And we founded a non-for-profit association on German law, pretty similar to BDVA, except that we don't have any formal partnership with the commission. However, we know each other. I mean, we find the same people, more or less. So we funded a year ago. And last week, we had the first in-person general assembly. So it's not like here where we stop and start again. I met people last week for the first time after speaking with them in 2D for a year or for 2 years. Quick is now since December is a private member of your HPC, so next to BDVA and ETP for HPC. So Thomas and Anna cannot get rid so easily of myself. So that's important as well. I mean, we bring in the new regulation on Euro HPC, there is this quantum computers as well. So it's another technology to help. So it's not like it will replace everything. We need both, and so how to interact those hybrid architecture, etc. So this is important as well to do those bridges and collaborate on those aspects as well. Yeah, so that's maybe, yeah, I need my slides here. That's official closing. Can you bring the
slides for
There are 2 slides actually. One with the figures. Yeah, thank you. So that's the conclusion. Yeah, we reached almost 1,000 entities if we count the online ones. A lot of sessions for associated events, so 30 days if we include all those online sessions, a lot of parallel event on iSpaces as well. And I think this is really, I mean, this shows exactly that, okay, we stopped more or less, or we kind of feel in a limbo for 2 years, but no, we didn't stop, and that continues, and that's really impressive. So yeah, maybe just as before Thomas speak, quick, can go next slide. So this was just that one, yeah. So that's, thanks a lot for joining us. And this picture, so it reminds you from yesterday, I actually cheated, it's before yesterday, I was in the area, so, but the big picture was better. So now Thomas, want to conclude?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, perfect. And Anna announced me that there would be a surprise, hopefully a positive one. Surprises can be also different. So, and I hope you see the slides.
Yes.
Okay, let's briefly discuss a little bit also, and thanks Laura also to give some of the numbers of the event. I think Data Week collaboration to meet again, to exchange between us, it's quite important. And for me, as said in the beginning, it's a pity that I'm not in person in Naples, and reflecting Anna's work, I miss you too when you do vice versa. But nevertheless, let's pick up a little bit about strategy. Some of the words into the slide, which I've seen Ed has shown also yesterday, some kind of the evolution, looking at the bottom line. Big data, you know, this was a term during this time created, I think, from McKinsey. We added value, impact, business, what I mentioned before. Then we extended this because, let's say, this is showing also some kind of attitude, because nobody can do it alone, to get value, to produce value, to calculate value, especially with the AI communities. That was the next step. Law mentions this. Somewhere you have to calculate, to store the things. There's the Euro HPC, the Quick Consortium, but also the Semiconductor Alliance, which is coming up, addressing this, how and doing this. And this is the case where I now will dig in the Data Space Alliance. I've seen before Lars and Bert on stage, but I would say some of the words and also edit some slide, because there was a question about how to measure impact, what we are achieving. And you know, on the right side, you have also the innovation hubs, the iSpaces, the skills, and so on. And why we are doing this? Yeah, creating impact, which you see on the top line, in the strategy, but also in the business, but also in applications. That's where we are inside. And now I know I like this slide to show, but nevertheless giving also a very good overview about how, let's say, a technology stack can look like. And you see the data spaces, you know, in the middle, because it's somehow, yeah, the linkage of the one side of the coin, the infrastructure, the other side of the coin are, let's say, to create impact. And let's say the linking or binding between other data spaces. So it always likes this picture, because you see on the top also for what we are doing this. Here are some initiatives mentioned. You can also add health initiative. Then you have the value creation part I addressed before. Then you have the software infrastructure with Gaia X, IDSA, and Fiverr, and you have the hardware infrastructure. And like I said before, because there was some discussions around in the panel before, how we are doing this, how we can addressing this more consequent, more direct. And that's the reason exactly why we created this Data Space Business Alliance, Gaia X, Fiverr, IDSA, and BDVA. Looking together how we are doing this, applying also for some kind of common goals, to bringing the ecosystem together to achieve impact. On the right side, you see here the initiative on the European level, which are relevant for this digital data strategic topic. And you see here also some kind of the regulation, I think Lars mentioned before, the Data Governance Act, which of course we are giving input to some, or vice versa, getting advice for them. That's what we are doing. That's somehow the strategy and BDVA with the partners, because, you know, other partners are also, you know, standardization when you're speaking about this, or also when you're speaking about business models, you have also to speak to other people how future business model can look like, because with data you can achieve or improve existing business, but more interesting to look what are future business opportunities are. That's where we are. And this slide I added inside just during the discussion before, because there was a question about what can you achieve with data spaces. Here in this slide is formulated a little bit vice versa. When you want really to look and a carbon footprint, you know, you see on your factory maybe only a small portion of the CO2 emissions. So it's the so-called scope 1 and 2. The rest, in this case, for electronic fitting production, where you see maybe only 10% of the CO2 footprint in your own factory, but the rest is in the supply chain. Meaning, on the contrary, when you want to improve this, and this is coming back to the question before, then you have to exchange, you have to data transparency, you have to build on the data some kind of optimization. And that's exactly what data spacing playing a role. And as said before, turning around the argumentation which is on the slides, then you can show what are the impact which you can achieve. Or other example, battery production. You know, battery production needs a lot of material, energy, and water intensive needs. So and you have a high dependency also to get the material. But the good thing is 96% of a battery you can recycle. As a meaning, when you have, again, a complete lifetime or value chain or supply chain, how you produce a battery, some kind of your data space, knowing this, again, you can put it much smarter, you can recycle, you have some kind of circular economy, and especially in this case, is quite relevant. This is only to give you a feeling, and that's why we are targeting this together. Nobody can do this alone. And only to give you a feeling, maybe Lars and Anna is now smiling a little bit, only when we put here the Data Space Business Alliance, the different hubs which we have in Europe, you see this map. There's around 90 hubs where you get some kind of support. These are different for sure, but nevertheless, it can help us to combine this. Also meaning for me, collaboration in an ecosystem, thinking about addressing this, creating impact, showing the impact, asking, of course, for the right programs that we can develop this together is key. And as said before, I'm not sure if Laure have shown this picture, events like the Data Weeks are quite relevant because you have the exchange platform to meet us and to exchange the information to start something new. And as said before, we have from BDVA perspective, end of November, our European Big Data Value Forum, where we're planning also with also regional, I've spoken about the initiatives in Europe, but there's a lot of regional initiatives. We're planning also for industrial AI to have some kind of meeting with the regional initiatives and addressing with the partners from Gaia X5, IDSA, research communities, standardization bodies, the next topics. Many thanks, and hopefully you enjoyed the meeting in Naples. Got a lot of inspiration and looking forward to the next events and to the next exchange with you. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Laure. It's fantastic that we are here together. So we are about to close. Just a few thanks to those, again, that have been helping us to organize this. So we are now towards the end of the event, but this is the beginning again of being together in this type of events. I want to thank again to engineering and Meditech, Dario, Angelo, and the whole team. I want to extend also the thanks to those organizations that have been helping us through the 3-4 weeks for the whole organization, CA in France, also Poznan Supercomputing and Networking Center, also INRIA, also University of Bologna and Cineca, and many others. A special thanks to the overall US for Data team, and very, very, very special thanks to the BDB office, to Jaco, to Sina, and Mattia, and big applause to this team.
And a standing ovation for Anna as well.
So big applause for everyone who made this happen. It was quite amazing. So thank you very much. You made our week very special.